Chapter 21. It could have been fireworks. Back home for the summer again without a fiancé on my arm was a humiliation in my LDS community. The same question was asked. The same answer was given. Are you engaged yet? Hey, do you see a ring on my finger? If I had been living in 2025, I wouldn't have had this pressure to marry. But I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and although in some ways my world was more simplistic, sociologically things were harder due to a more stringent set of expectations. In the U.S., the average age for women to marry was 21. I was now 21 and a month. Above all else, my LDS community expected me to return from BYU with a fiancé. They celebrated temple marriage more than a college degree. Around midsummer, I received a letter from Chad. As cheesy as it sounds, his exact words were that he missed my sunny face that was now shining on the California coast. How cute is that? His sentiment tickled me. I sensed that he missed me as much as I missed him. But the question begged to be answered. Did he see me as more than just a best bud? With plenty of free time to think, instead of returning to BYU, I considered going on a church mission. I guess deep down I felt undeserving of Chad. He was far brighter and far more ambitious than I was. Serving the Lord as a missionary was an option for many women who couldn't catch a man by the time they finished college. But what if I wasted 18 months out in the field and still couldn't find the one? Near the end of August, after much prayer and consideration, I returned to my little pink house and met up with Chad. Even though I had gained a few pounds over the summer, he lied and told me I looked great. He must have really missed me. Was there still a chance for romance? Because I had become increasingly doubtful about my academic potential, I decided to enroll as a part-time student to give myself time to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. In the meantime, I worked in the afternoons at the Provo Mall, dipping hot dogs on a stick for $2.10 an hour. Chad happened to be strolling down the mall one afternoon and ordered a large fries in hopes we'd have time for a quick chat. It was the first time he had seen me in my brightly colored uniform and red, yellow, and blue-striped towering fez hat. "You look like a walking, talking loaf of Wonder Bread," he quipped. I couldn't contain my laughter as he flirtatiously danced his brows at me while flicking his eyes up and down my sexy costume. After he left, that's when it hit me. Although my friend never criticized me for deciding to be a part-time student, I knew he needed to be with an intellectual. He took college seriously. I was willing to take a break from it so I could sell deep-fried collagen-encased meat for minimum wage. The cold, hard truth about our deal-breaker differences punched me in the gut. Near the end of the semester, Chad and I were in his room talking when he shared the sad news that he would be flying back to Michigan so he could be closer to his daughter. He would continue his education there. All at once, I got a lump in my throat, and tears welled my eyes at the thought of losing him. If only I had been more serious about college, perhaps Chad would have taken me with him. Even though I knew he had to go on with his life, I felt abandoned. I was like a leaf in the wind, tossed, scattered, and trampled beneath the shoes of the more driven as they mounted the stairwell toward academic achievement. Was I far too feckless for my firmly grounded friend? Perhaps. But I knew one thing. I loved the man. I truly loved him. I couldn't say that about Jay or Louie. Rushing in with those two was like feeding a flame with paper, creating an instant explosion with no sustained heat. But with Chad, the flame burned low with a steady ember glow. Maybe it would have been fireworks if I had just impressed him with a few goals. As a young coed, I was a truly remarkable woman with endless amounts of talent and capability. I just couldn't see it. If I hadn't been so set on marriage, I could have had the whole world in my hands. Who knows? I might have been able to spin it to my advantage. But I was indoctrinated to believe that finding a husband was the goal. Perhaps Chad sensed this neediness in me, and it frightened him. My biological clock was ticking. All my roommates were engaged. Even more distressing, I couldn't connect with my family. My parents were introverts. My sisters were married and already had kids. Their lives were far removed from mine and abundantly full. Because I was taught that I couldn't get to the highest tier of heaven without my Mormon prince, instead of getting more ambitious, I got down on my knees and asked God to help me find him. I hounded him in the way a child would hound her daddy for candy. Please, Heavenly Father, if it isn't Chad, please, please, please help me find a husband. The next thing I knew, I was tossed upon the billows, swallowed up in the current of my delusions, fighting for each breath.